Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our first Oracle ACE virtual conference. My name is Juana Bono. I'm the community manager of the Oracle ACE program, and I'll be your host for the day. So it's with great pleasure that I announce the following agenda. We have 7 great, amazing presentations delivered by 8 Oracle ACEs, which are great presenters. But before we get into that, I would like to spend just a few minutes briefly presenting the Oracle ACE program to you in case you don't know it that well or it's your first time hearing about it. So the Oracle ACE program recognizes and rewards community members for their amazing technical and community contributions that they bring to the Oracle community. And we are happy to share that we have 500 members from all around the world. You can join us if you submit a nomination at ace.oracle.com/nominate, and you can be at one of the following levels: ACE, Associate, Pro, or Director. But of course, you can learn more if you join us on the website, or if you check any of our social media pages, or if you join our LinkedIn group, or if you want to scan the QR code, you'll definitely learn more about us. But our members, let me tell you a little bit more about them. They are, as I mentioned, 500 members from 55 countries. As you can see, most of our members are from EMEA in North America, followed by JPAC and South America. So we have quite a large membership all around the world. You can see all of them in the Oracle ACE directory. There are plenty of filtering options, so you can look at them by region, country, name, if there's anyone in particular you want to look at. So you can definitely see them. So what do the ACEs do? Well, they do a lot of community activities. They like to blog, write articles, or even write books. They are amazing presenters, such as our guests today. They also like to record videos, webinars, podcasts. They are active in forums and help others in the community answering their questions. They collaborate on a variety of ways with our Oracle PMs, and everyone does a little bit of social media. So if you are keen on any of these activities, 1, 2, or any mix of them, then you might be a great fit into our program. So of course we have benefits for our members. We have some key benefits in terms of recognition, promotion, and access to our events such as Cloud World. We also give swag to some of our members based on their level. And of course, direct access to the other ACEs and to the Oracle product management team. We get exclusive content for our members on a monthly or even more often than this basis, because we invite them to dedicated product overview sessions. And we also love the networking part of the program, and we like to organize events for our members. Oh, sorry about that. And we host a lot of events such as dinners, fun events that we call ACE Adventures, a lot of virtual networking, and much more. Of course, we also give you cloud credit if you are a pro or a director. And for our top tier level of the program, ACE directors, more than this, they are eligible to receive travel support if they attend conferences and talk at conferences all around the world. All right. Well, I could spend much more than this to talk about the program, but I do want to keep it brief. Again, if you want to look at it, if you think you're already ready, we would be happy to receive your nomination. But you can also see here, you can grab a quick screenshot. Here's all the places where you can find this. You can connect with us. You can ask your questions after this amazing conference at any time. So I would like to now stop sharing my screen and go back to our speakers. I want to welcome first the first 2 names on our agenda, Ambili and Vijayganesh. Welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here with us today. And while Ambili is sharing her screen, I do want to mention that the chat is enabled for all our guests. So if you have questions, I'm talking to the attendees now. If you have questions for us, our speakers will look at them after their presentation, and we'll spend a few minutes covering that. So thank you for being here. I hope you'll have a lovely time with us today.
Thank you, Anna. So hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're from. So I know my co-presenter Vijay. He's joined me from New Zealand, 4 a.m. there. So I know everybody have joined from different time zones, different parts of the world. So very, very happy to have you all here. We come here to take you on an exciting journey with Oracle Analytics, with the latest feature which has been released recently. So the title for the talk today is Genie Unleashed, Taming Gen AI in Oracle Analytics. So before we move on to our topic, a quick introduction. So my name is Ambili. I'm an analytics principal consultant with Rittman Mead. I'm also an ACE, Oracle ACE Pro. And with me, I have today, Vijay, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, hello everyone. As Emily said, I'm joining from New Zealand, Auckland, New Zealand. So it's nice and early here. So I'm Vijayganesh Sivaprakasam. I'm head of customer services at DB Visit Software NZ Private Limited. So and I'm also an Oracle ACE Pro, and it's exciting to present in the seminar. Let's move on then. Thank you very much. So when it comes to Oracle Analytics, you can divide this AI feature into two main categories on a high level. So one is the embedded AI, cognitive AI, where you can subcategorize it into image, object detection or classification. That's a powerful AI feature. And also like text-based sentiment analysis and also key phrase or token classification, which is also very, very important. So when it comes to documents, so advanced key classifications and additional capabilities are already there. And there are also features like geometric spatial calculations and also network graphic calculations, which is our additions and which are very, very important and at the same time very powerful when it comes to embedded cognitive AI. So you can take over, Ambili.
Right. So today, in today's session, we are primarily focusing on the augmented AI part. So, in Gen AI specifically, if you talk about, because that's our focus area today, it is the AI assistant feature, which has been recently introduced. That is the only feature which can claim as having a generative AI capability in, with Oracle Analytics. AI insights and contextual insights are more AI features, and contextual insight is something which is going to come up in January 2025. So I got an opportunity to recently demonstrate it, but it will be totally out of context in today's discussion, right? So let's dive in deeper to the AI assistant. So whoever was wondering what the title was about, what is the Genie that we are referring to? Here is your answer. So it is nothing but the Gen AI. And interestingly, even the spellings are quite similar, isn't it? Right. So the Gen AI Genie we are talking about or walking you through today in depth is the Oracle Analytics AI Assistant, which was recently introduced soon after Oracle Cloud World. And, you are going to discover its power. Vijay, over to you.
Yes. Okay. So let's look at a sample data. Like, for example, this is the supermarket sales data that we have. If you look at that, this is an Excel sheet containing lots of data, and it's quite, challenging task to, consolidate this data into reporting at the same time. Also, getting a specific feedback out of this particular report. So now we're going to see how Gen AI helps us in consolidating, not only consolidating this, and also helping us to provide answers to questions that are key for a specific area or specific person that needs an answer. Let's look at a smallest example here. So before going into that, let's also look at how Gen AI processes this. For example, here, when it comes to an AI assistant, it is very simple and straightforward. It will give you answers specifically very easily. For example, here it asks about what are the top 3 products that are sold on this particular branch, or top 3 products that are sold on a specific criteria. So when it comes to this, it's much more easier and straightforward, and it is based on LLMs, so it's absolutely English-based as well. So you can ask away any questions instead of trying to consolidate the report or filter the report based on a specific category, criteria, or products. You can easily figure out the answers just by asking a question to the AI assistant, and it would immediately give you an answer based on your requirements. And this is amazing, isn't it? So, and if you can see, that's how the magic works. So let's dive into detail on exactly what happens if you ask a specific question. For example, my question is, what was the quantity and sales of appliances in Austin? So when you look at specifically this aspect of it, it's very important to say you effectively start to work from backwards. For example, what happens is the way AI assistant generally works is we ask a question and then we look at the information in the specific data set. For example, let's say, let's look at, for example, here it says that the quantity of this particular sum of the quantity ordered. At the same time, what is the appliance that the category of appliances, and also the what do you see? The sales happened for that particular appliance. So what happens is we look at the question and then we look at the information on the data set. And what happens is we use the LLMs, inbuilt LLMs of the AI assistant to try to understand the question. And that from that particular question, we sort back into the SQLs. And then once the SQL statement is executed against a data set, it provides me an answers. And then it provides me the result that I'm looking for. Here it says that the product quantity ordered for the appliances in Austin is 6. So thereby, it's much more easier and straightforward rather than you trying to write a query, or if it's an Excel sheet, trying to consolidate or filter the data based on your requirements, which is much more complex.
Right. So the big question here is what happens between a question and response, which I already gave you a high-level understanding of it. Now we are trying to see a little more in detail what exactly are the process involved, right? So, the first step, as we told, we are trying to work backwards from the question. So the first step is always a user asking a question to the assistant, right? And once a question is asked, the very next process that kicks in is from the Oracle Analytics Cloud, which takes in charge and identifies the best data set. Now you saw in the previous slide how exactly each attributes are tried to be matched against the data sets. So if you can imagine, an Oracle Analytics Cloud workbook can have different, not just one, but multiple data sets associated to it. So based on the question and the attributes or the keywords asked, it identifies the best data set, and Oracle Analytics Cloud then prepares a prompt. Now you can imagine prompt as probably an envelope which contains all the important information which is needed for the LLM, the embedded LLM, which Oracle is managing, to identify and understand what exactly user is trying to know here, so that it can prepare further the response accordingly, right? So once the prompt is passed on, so this envelope will contain the question, the metadata information, and the metadata information could contain details like the data set names, the attributes, even the synonyms which are mapped to any particular column, if at all it is present. So all these information are summed up and pushed to as a prompt to the LLM. So at this point, LLM comes into picture, evaluates the prompt, and what it does is it returns a very refined query, which is like a proposed query back to the Oracle Analytics Cloud. And Oracle Analytics Cloud then verifies the query against the data and the model, and then it runs or executes that particular query against the database. And this is how eventually you get a response back from the AI assistant. So this is an overall picture or in-depth processes which happens or which is kicked off once a user asks a query, right? But you don't really have to worry about any of this because all of this happens in the background. And when it comes to the ease of using the feature, it is pretty straightforward and very simple.
Yes. So let's look at a simple example how the configuration is done here. The first and foremost thing is you have to enable the data set for indexing. So what we do is we select the data set and then inspect the data set by right-clicking it. And then we enable the indexing for both assistant and homepage ask. Once this is done, that's the first step for you. And then once this is done, what we do is we start the next process where we ask your assistant to get trained. So that's when once indexing has happened, the LLM will train the data and through the assistant. And then once the data is being trained or indexing is being enabled, the next step happens here. The next step is nothing but start asking questions. Start, do anything that you want with the data. Start away any questions. Like for example, the previous slide, we asked a question on the sales directly as an English language. So when you look at the search criteria itself or indexing criteria itself, we can easily find out that the questions can be asked in specific languages. For example, we have chosen English for the ease of it, but you can choose any languages that you might need, you might want, and uh, as you can see, it's just a three-step process: indexing, train, and then start ask questions. This is great, isn't it?
Right. So, as simple as that, we kind of played around a lot with the assistant. And if at all any of you have gone through the last blog, which I had written on the topic, you would have seen a lot of explorations done with the kind of questions, that we could ask with the assistant. And, the response or the experience was really satisfactory. However, we did come across some of the challenging scenarios, which eventually, helped us understand how best to optimize it further to get the best results out of AI assistant. So wanted to share some of the main challenging scenarios, some interesting scenarios, with which you could also learn the same.
Yeah. So the first and important challenge is, what are the countries that are having maximum area? So the biggest challenge here was the values in the particular column, area column, was a character, and it had a value of lesser than 1. So the Vatican has the square kilometer, or the area of the Vatican was less than a kilometer. So it says less than 1. So the system loaded the area column as a character, and so it was not able to sort it. So, and then so if you look at it, Vatican is not a country that has maximum area; it has the least area. So that's another key here, right? So when you change or when you train the value to a proper, for example, if you train it in a different way, so what happens is having a maximum area, it is heavy Russia. So that's the reason you have to be very careful. It is not how the assistant works, it's how the data is there as well. You have to ensure the data is also properly set. So you have to add the exact value of 0.44 kilometer. Once you do that, what happens is the area, maximum area, changes from Vatican City to Russia. So that's the difference, how you train the assistant or enable the data to be trained properly as well, or changed as well. So next one is, so when you do what country ranked lowest in the population? For example, when you do the ranking, you need uh, to ensure that you do the ranking when you check the data, it has to be proper data as well. You need to rank against a specific measure. So the issue here is, for example, it says invalid data there. The issue here is there is a not applicable value in the country capital column. And then when you try to map it based on the country capital, the NA didn't know what to do. So because there is no country in the world that is named as capital as NA. So, and then what happens is so understanding the root cause is very, very important here. Let's see if assistant can catch the rest of the country. So what I did was we tweaked the question to ask us what was the country that ranked the lowest in terms of population. And then we got the right answer now. And now, even now, if you can see the data there, you will see that the data is specifically says that it does not have, it has the second value as not applicable. And so we have to ensure that this is done properly as well. So that's our second challenge here. It's always you have to ensure that the data is properly set.
Right. And, one more scenario we would love to share. It is a kind of a brain teaser question. It turned out to be, even if it was a chance encounter. So what we asked the AI assistant was, what was the country that ranked the 5 lowest in terms of world rank? Now you can see that the value of number 1 is the lowest, isn't it? Numerically, it is lowest, but it can also be understood or taken as highest rank. Now, this was a scenario which kind of makes us think, how we should be thinking about the data, because the data does make perfect sense here, but we cannot say what is the right answer. So it all depends on how we frame the question, and so a lot of thought has to go in to get the right answer in the way we formulate our question. Right. So these are some of the data scenarios that we shared. We would love to quickly take you through some of the tips and tricks to optimize the AI assistant, so that you don't get into any situation that you don't get the right response back. And if at all you do, what are the things that you have to consider to ensure that from your end all the optimizations are done? So starting with indexing. So we already saw that that's the very first step that we do while we are configuring or enabling AI assistant in OAC. So in indexing, what happens, it basically is done so that we are able to control what the users can ask about. Because in indexing, whatever columns we are not including, so generally, it's a practice that it's better or recommended not to include those columns which are just there for identification or as a key column purposes, because mostly questions will not come on top of such identification columns, right? So we avoid that. And then we also try to specially include those which will be most commonly be part of questions, because LLM will be able to then understand which column exactly to include in the query that is generated, right? And also the filters are formulated accordingly. Now, the indexing can be done either on top of just the column name, or both on the name of the column and the values included. So as you can imagine, there's no use of doing a value indexing on top of measures, because it will be having all the numerical columns in it, right? And when you talk about indexing based on both name and values, one good example that we can take is, say we have a column called country. Now, if you are indexing with both column name and value, even if the user is including any specific country name in their question, the model will be intelligent enough to associate that and give you the right response corresponding to that one country, right? So this is the advantage. Now, moving forward, synonyms. At the time of enabling the AI assistant, there's also one additional column wherein you'll be able to add synonyms to any of your columns. So this very much helps in giving a clarity to the LLM, because not always the column names would be meaningfully set, isn't it? And just take an example of an enterprise data. We can't, it will be so massive that we may not be able to really go and rename everything according to the way that an AI assistant or a model would expect. So synonyms comes to your rescue, and you'll be able to add up to 50 synonyms per column, so you can best make use of it. And it also helps in situations wherein there's a lot of ambiguity between the data columns that exist. One good example that you can think of is suppose, say, we are asking, show me sales by month. Now, the month could be of any date, which are stored in the data set, but we will be able to set a synonym to a particular date column as, say, invoice date or order date, so that the questions related can be identified correctly. Now, these are some of the very important advantages of using synonyms, and also it can help in setting default values. Now, say a question came from user referring to the last summer, what was the sales performance like? the last summer, what is our reference value here? So now in such situations, if at all we had set a synonym with a default value for a particular date column, then it will be able to identify correctly as well, right? So the more descriptive the metadata is, the model will be able to more intelligently understand the topic and the domain of the data set, and you will be getting smarter answers back. So that is the whole and the fundamental foundation of it. Vijay.
Yes. So the final consideration here is, as we saw in our examples earlier, so we have to beware of special characters. So assistant would not understand them. For example, copyright, registered, and even the lesser than symbol found that it was misleading the data, the results, right? So you have to be very careful when you are tuning the metadata for AI. So ensure that the data that is contained in your data set is properly aligned to this. And reserve words. So this is also very, very important. So if you use the synonyms as any of the reserve words, let's say average, so you have to be very careful with all using any kind of reserve words. Any reserve words count as that are SQL function. If you use them as a synonym, it is not a good practice. And it's not recommended as well. So let's ensure that we avoid two things. One is special characters and any kind of reserve words, which is not good for the AI assistant to recognize the data or your queries.
Right. So the final tips, the pro tips that we want to end with are three of the points that you can remember is, try to use or group your data more meaningfully. Now, this also aligns to the very fact that we're trying to make your data more and more descriptive so that the model will be able to identify any sort of questions related. Now, for example, if a customer is asking or a user is asking a question, how many customers have got really large orders? Now, what is the definition of large? Now, suppose say you have binned the data to say small, medium, and large orders based on any criteria that your business requires. Then in such cases, the model will be able to identify exactly what you mean by large, right? So similarly, some more other tips that you can follow are grouping the data. We will be able to use the enrichment options which are available with Oracle Analytics. You can also add custom knowledge repositories with which you will be able to have all the new recommendations based on those data, and kind of enrich your data set so that you are making it more and more descriptive. And same way, whenever you have any null values, it is very, very important to deal with it or convert them into descriptive terms like, say, unknown or not available. So these are some of the very important, small but very important tips when it comes to optimizing all our data scenarios for making the assistant work more intelligently.
Okay, so we have a minute here. So let's understand the limitations and future of AI assistant. So leveraging Oracle LLMs requires tremendous computing skills and then careful planning. So this led Oracle to start rolling out the largest shapes like 10 OCPUs across supported regions. And another thing is, however, even though all these limitations, like, for example, supports conversing data sets, embedded LLMs are only maintained by Oracle. So, however, the good news is that Oracle is committed to progressively lowering the CPU requirements over the next several months and ultimately making it available to customers at no extra cost at the earliest possible time. And the subject area support is about to be released in limited availability. And you can also do a BOAO LLM as well.
Right. So to summarize, how do you tame Gen AI? So the key is taming your data or your metadata, to be able to tame Gen AI and optimize all these powerful features to get the best out of it, right? So this is our talk, and if you have any questions, don't be scared. So. I know we are running short of time. However, if you want to contact us to discuss any of the scenarios that you're facing when you're trying out the option, you can also contact us on LinkedIn, or the QR code will take you to our Oracle ACE page,
Yes.
which has all the handles for getting in touch.